All right, I'd like to call to order the Ratcliffe City regularly scheduled council meeting for Tuesday, March 19th at Ratcliffe City Hall. If you will please rise as Councilman Palmer does our invocation, and Governor, ma'am, if you'd like to lead us in our pledge after our invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we are so grateful again to be in your presence. As always, this is the day that you have made, and we thank you for allowing us to be a part of your plans, your strategies. We ask now that as we embark upon the business of this city, that you give us those chosen by you to lead this city, the wisdom, the insight to make wise decisions. We pray, oh God, that you would bless those who are in harm's way. We bless our proceedings tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Barbara Baker,
Present.
Pam DeRoche,
Here.
Edward Palmer,
Present.
Tanya Seabrooks.
Here.
Kim Thompson. Present. Chris Yates. We have a quorum.
All right, can we have consideration for minutes of February 19th, 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second by either,
Who wants that?
give it,
Ten.
do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, can we have consideration for minutes of February 22nd, 2019, special called meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then can we have consideration for minutes from March 11th, 2019 work session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Well, welcome you all to our Ratcliffe City Council meeting. We have a special guest with us today. Our very own Lieutenant Governor, Janine Hampton, has made the travel here, and I believe, Governor, this is the first time that we can think of that we've had either the governor or lieutenant governor join us for our council meeting. So welcome to our council meeting in the city of Ratcliffe once again. You've been a great partner. I've called you on several occasions, and you've always responded. So we do appreciate you and all the hard work you've done. Thank you. So we have a special presentation. Last month, Mr. Neil Gibbs did a Black History Month presentation at North Middle. We have our mayor, my counterpart over in Vine Grove, Ms. Pam Ogden here, who's actually, you're in her jurisdiction, but we'll claim you. But we had a special presentation, and Pam and I had spoke afterwards and thought it would be very appropriate to recognize you for your accomplishments and things that you've done. And shortly after the presentation, I had the privilege of walking out with Lieutenant Governor, and she recognized kind of the hard work and everything you put into making that happen for the community and, of course, the kids. And so she said, anything I can do to help, I'll be there. And obviously, you can see she's here. And so we have a little short PowerPoint, but again, I want to recognize our Lieutenant Governor for being here. JLC, how long, sir, have you started that?
2011, sir.
2011. And how many kids you think have you put through that program since? Quite a bit.
Yes, sir.
I've used several of them. I think this council all has used several of them to help with programs.
I would figure at least 700-800 a year.
Wow. And I may have you just to tell us just real quick a little bit about that program and why it's important to our school.
The program was started to enhance the graduation rate at North Arden High School, and at the time that the program started, North Arden High School was had the lowest graduation rate. Now it's the highest. I don't know if it's because of the program or not.
It's because of the program.
But, I put a lot of energy into it to give the kids something fun in school that they can be a part of, and it seems just lovely. I don't know. I just can't seem to get rid of it.
Yeah, great kids. And a lot of them are bright kids, very bright kids. Just some photos that we have here. You don't know who that is? You recognize anyone up there? Of course, these are maybe some photos from that day at the school. Our own Terry Morgan, our own superintendent, and the Commissioner for Education, our Sergeant Major, Garrison, Sergeant Major. I don't know who this is. I'm still trying to figure this one out, yeah. But you brought together a very great leaders and from all across the area, not just locally. It was across the region. Master P, of course, very highlight for the kids. They enjoyed. Of course, that's my generation, kind of, yeah, growing up. And Emmy, yeah. But a great motivational speaker that volunteered to come down.
Yes, sir.
Spoke to the kids. I don't know where this one, I don't know what happened there. I just stuck that one in there. Thank you for allowing that to happen. I appreciate that. Yes. I believe you were brought this award, or graduation.
Yes,
college.
sir.
Yes, sir. They've actually delivered it to you in your class, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Need some council members. Yeah. We found one.
He did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the changer. But these are some of the bright kids that you've been able to support and help through your program. And all these kids, they actually have to write why they should be a part of that program,
Yes, sir.
correct? Yes, sir. This is the leader, or the team, I guess, there at North Middle. Senator Mitch McConnell. Ratcliffe Color Run a couple years ago. Bow tie and all. And our Don G Wave 3. We want to say thank you, Mr. Gibbs. So at this time, I'll turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor for her words. Yes, ma'am.
Well, first of all, that event was wonderful. It's the first time I've ever been upstaged by a rapper. The kids were actually more excited to see Master P than me. When he walked in, people were pretty excited. But I learned more about Neil, and I learned how you have worked with kids. Some of the photographs show. What I find that all over Kentucky, there are individuals who are stepping up. They're not waiting for a government program. They're not waiting for somebody else to solve the problem. They're doing whatever they can, wherever they are in their little corner of the world. And you're one of those people, and you're making a huge difference. Just a tremendous difference. And I hope someday you get a chance to know how many lives you touched and steered and changed and improved. So in Kentucky, we have an honor that we bestow upon citizens who do extraordinary things. It's the highest honor that we can bestow upon a citizen. So if you will come forward, I have something for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are making you a Kentucky Colonel.
All right.
To all to whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that Honorable Neil Gibbs is commissioned a Kentucky Colonel. I hereby confer this honor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. And it's signed, Governor Matt Becker. So congratulations and welcome. Well deserved. Thank you for working with kids, because you are truly changing the lives of. You're changing Kentucky by touching these kids' lives. So thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Congratulations. Thank you. God bless you.
You too.
Stand up here and all.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Mayor, city council, men and women, and of course my lovely wife and granddaughter and friends of the family. I have been trying my best to do what I can to help these youth. And I challenge everybody to step up to the plate and to follow in my footsteps. And it's been rewarding. Kids has been, they listen. We just need more men to follow and to be role models.
Yeah, great.
And I don't know what else to say, but thank you. I am honored and just tickled to death that y'all took out the time out of y'all busy schedule to do this for me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure to come and present that to you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Way to go, Colonel.
We have one last thing. Our police department budget's a lot bigger than mine, chief. And so, you come on up here. Our police department has a lot bigger budget, probably 60-some% of my total budget, about 65%. And so he gets little trinkets like this called challenge coins that I can't afford to buy yet. So Chief, I'm gonna actually let you present this on her behalf, just for her coming down here today and visiting with us.
This is one of our challenge coins. It's got our seal on the front.
Beautiful,
Badge and that's.
beautiful.
There you are.
So I'm still working on my coin, believe it or not. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chief, y'all turn around. I'm gonna put the eagle in the middle, Jeffrey. Scoot over there.
Okay.
All right, before we start the meeting, I just wanted to mention that Councilman Yates couldn't make it today, and he did call earlier and let me know they wouldn't be attending, but he apologizes for not being able to make it. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Susan Mauser, Clausen Mauser, PV, or CPAs.
Okay, I think everybody has a copy of the audit report, because this is for the last fiscal year end, June 30, 2018. And these were emailed out, I think, on Friday, right, Jeff? So hopefully you've had a chance to review the audit report a bit, and I would basically be happy to answer any questions if you all had any questions from your review of the report. It's a very, the report format is the same as it's been the last several years. I mean, there are sections, the first section of the, well, the very first part is our independent auditor's report on the financial statements, which state these financial statements present in all material respects the financial position of the city and the results of the operations for that year ended. The next section is management's discussion and analysis, and Chance works principally on drafting that part of the report, and it's just a discussion of the financial statements. It has some comparative this year to last year information, and then the basic financial statements start on page 9. For those of you who are new to the council, I know we have one anyway, just a little brief explanation of the layout of the report. There's basically two different types. That being a governmental entity, you know, it falls under the governmental accounting standards, and we're required to present two different methods of presentation of financial data for like the governmental activities, which is basically the general fund. So you'll see like a couple of different net income figures for the same fund, but it's because they're on different methods of accounting. So like pages 9 and 10, these are more like traditional financial statements that we're all accustomed to reading, which include like all the assets, all the liabilities of the entity. And then the fund statements actually start on page 11. So even though it's the same fund, it's a different accounting method. The fund statements, they don't include like fixed assets are expensed when they're purchased in the fund statements, and debt proceeds are recognized as a revenue source in the fund statements. And this is only for the governmental funds. Now, the stormwater is a different type fund. It's proprietary. So its fund statements and its government-wide statements on page 9 and 10 are the same. So half of this set of books is the same presentation in both, and then half of them have basically two different sets of numbers. So that can be confusing, I think, when you first start reading a report. The only major change this year in presentation is, those of you who have been around a while, you know, up like 5 years ago, the governmental accounting standards required governmental agencies to start reporting like pension information, and I think we've talked about this some of the last couple of years. So you recognize the net pension liability for your share of the state retirement system. So that information is recognized on the statements on page 9 and 10. Well, so in addition, that's been around for 4 years. That's been, I think, 15, 16, 17, and 18 audit reports all included the pension information. Well, there was a new standard that came out for FY18, and we also now recognize the other post-employment benefits, which is basically the health insurance side of the state retirement plan. So you see this new liability roll onto the books this year, like on page 9, 2/3 of the way down the page, where it says net OPEB liability. That's the other post-employment
Other benefits.
benefits, the health insurance portion of the plan. So, I mean, it is sizable as well. I mean, it's about a third what the pension information is. So it did make a difference in both the bottom line and, in the statement of net position as far as being recognized as a liability, which, I have mixed feelings about that because, it's not a liability that you would, that's presently due, but it's still the way we're required to reflect it. So that's the only major change in the report.
Excuse me, Susan. You said that was the health insurance, and what else is in there?
That's pretty much it, just the health insurance.
Just, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some other little things like small life insurance benefits maybe, but they're very, very small.
Okay.
They would be rolled in with that number.
What is the extent of your evaluation of policy?
Well, policy, just the policies regarding the controls over financials, the internal controls over the cash receipts and the internal controls over cash disbursements. That's the extent of our analysis of policy.
No management pieces. Okay.
And basically, we just obtain an understanding of that aspect of internal controls. We don't necessarily, we do minor testing of those controls, but not substantial.
What would be an example?
An example would be like a cash disbursements test to support expenditures would be like, we would actually pull the invoices. We would look at that invoice to make sure that it agreed to the check that was written, and we would make sure that if a PO was required, that it was there, and that it was approved for payment. The mayor and Chance sign off on POs, and then they, when it's paid, it's stamped paid, or they staple a copy of the check to it actually, and that indicates that it's been paid, and then they're filed in order. So that would be just like testing one transaction all the way through to make sure that what's recorded on the book, that there's supporting documents that tie out to what's reported on the books.
Okay, but you don't go any further than that on the management side. Okay.
This is the state requirement for the yearly audit is what you're following.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's generally accepted auditing standards is what we follow, and those are written principally by the boards that we, that preside over the auditing standards. They're set by, this one being the Governmental Accounting Standards Board sets the requirements for the procedures that we follow for governmental auditing processes.
But you didn't find anything inconsistent? Everything was checked out clear?
Well, everything checked out good. We had a couple of year-end adjustments, but that's routine. We record all that pension activity for one thing. Chance does not record that on
Right.
his books throughout the year, and it would not be practical to, So there's a couple of things that we recorded year-end adjustments for, but they're routine in nature,
Right.
But, and, he maintains the depreciation schedules, he records the depreciation, he records like the changes in receivables and where the payables run through the books.
Right.
But the receivables don't. Receivables are recognized on a monthly basis on your reports as you collect the money. But then at year end, he determines the receivables and he records those adjustments. So he does the majority. We don't have very many adjustments at year end. So
Which
the
is
things
good.
Which is good. And then those adjustments for the pension and the OPEB, they're not even recorded on the governmental side. They're only recorded on the stormwater side on his books because they're the two different methods of accounting.
Right.
You can't record them on the governmental side. So that makes it even more confusing, and you have hazardous and non-hazardous, now you have retirement and
Right.
retirement and OPEB for both, and two different sets of books to, they provide us information on the web as far as what your share, what's those deferred outflows that are on there and those deferred inflows and that net pension liability. They provide us that information, but it takes a lot of allocating it between the departments, first between the two sets of books and then between the departments as you're recording it. Because most of that's all recorded based upon salaries and wages. We just we just allocate it on a percentage basis based on the salaries and wages for each department. If that makes sense.
But that's good that it's all totaled up and gives us an idea of target.
It is, and I mean, it's a sizable amount, and I mean, I know you all know, and you've heard it all as much as I have. There's been so much discussion about the retirement system, and I mean, I don't know what the current, but I mean, you're a very small portion of the whole, and as you can see, your portions are sizable amounts. I mean, I just, out of curiosity, I just jotted down some notes, but I mean, as far as you're one of 1,139 employers in the CERS system, was what I read. And then, so your portion of the non-hazardous is 0.1%. So I mean,
And it's still that figure.
And it's still that figure, right. And the hazardous system is a little bit larger percentage, it's 0.6%. But there aren't as many hazardous participating employers as there are non-hazardous, because not every entity has employees that would be subjected to hazardous positions, So it's not as large a plan. I mean, it's not as large a piece of the plan. It's all one plan, but it has its segments.
And then if we have any, excuse me, as we go through this in more detail, if we have any
Sure.
questions, we can just give you a call.
Sure, and Chance is very knowledgeable of the report as well. Either one of us, would be glad to answer any questions that you might have on the financial statements or the notes or any of the other information. It was what we call a single audit this year, which, because there were federal funds in excess of $750,000, requires what's called a single audit, which is basically just looking at the federal programs as far as compliance with the laws and regulations and the internal controls over those federal awards. But it was the Happy Valley FEMA
That's what I was
that
gonna
was the
ask.
larger
Right.
amount that put it over the threshold. All the federal funds that the city received, those are detailed on page 44. So they're mostly smaller ones. There's some
The grants.
some smaller grants, bulletproof vest, and then some highway programs and
Yep.
drug trafficking programs different for the police department. Those are smaller in nature, but the larger one was the Happy Valley FEMA grant. It was not, the federal portion of it was $962,000 expended in FY18. I think it's winding down.
It's almost done, yeah.
Almost done. Because it was the same way, it
We're
was
still
even
waiting on
larger
some-
the year before.
We're waiting on reimbursements right now.
But it'll still be reflected in next year's audit, because we're still doing that currently.
And I don't know if it'll be more than 750 or not, and
596,000, I believe.
so it may not hit that $750,000 threshold for FY19. It did in 17. It was
Right.
larger, quite larger than this in 17.
Anybody else got any questions?
Thank you for coming and
All right, well,
going
thank
over
you
this with
all. I
us.
appreciate the opportunity to do the audit for the city, and you all have been great to work with over the years, and I thank you.
Thank you. It seems to work out very well.
Thanks, Susan.
Done.
All right, next, we'll move on to citizen comments. If anybody would like to come up and address the city council, now's your opportunity to do so. Yes, sir. You have to come up here if you don't mind, sir, to the mic. I'm sorry.
Fill out your name.
Could you,
My name's Delmar Enderich.
Delmar, how do you spell your last name?
Enderich, E-N-D-E-R-I-C-H.
And your address, sir?
106 Wren Court.
Wren Court?
It's in Falcon Hills Estates.
Yes, sir.
Which was built 13, 14 years ago.
Yes, sir.
My only comment is the planning and development. The house I bought they had to cut out part of a hill to build a house, but they put no retaining wall up. Now, what's common sense tell you is going to happen to that hill?
It'll wash out.
It's going to slide down.
Yeah.
And sure enough, over the years, property behind the hill and the house, it all slopes now towards the house, not away from it. According to planning and development, it's supposed to slope at least 10 feet away from the house, but it doesn't because the hill over the years has slidden down.
Okay.
A guy who helped build it said the original prints showed removing the hill and putting in a retaining wall. Murray on planning said he never seen it.
Okay, yeah.
Now, who's right, who's wrong, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's something that needs to be looked into is planning and development. Whenever a developer wants to build something, common sense should tell them,
Yes, sir.
put in a retaining wall if you're going to remove part of a hill.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'll come out personally. I'll take a look at it. I'll come out and
So,
take a look and see, if
yeah,
you don't mind. You don't mind me tracking around your backyard a
Well, it's
little
kind
bit?
of overgrown with brush. I've cleared a path out. I found out I got a lot of property above the hill.
Oh.
It's nice green grassy area.
Yeah.
So I've cleared me out a path to get up there, and I'm going to slowly clear it out. I'm 70 years old, so.
Gotcha. Are you
I-
typically home during the day?
Huh?
Are you typically home during the day?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to make an attempt to get out there this week
Yeah,
and take a look at it with
99%
you.
of the time I'm home.
Okay.
So,
I'll try to come out there and take a look
Yeah.
with you so you can show me kind of what
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
doing a great
Can we
job.
get a phone number
Thank you,
from you,
so.
Mr. Ender?
Do you have a phone number well, you just
Yeah.
walk up here and tell him. That way we
Yeah,
don't
you
have
don't.
to. Yeah. Well, actually, if you go out there, the young lady right there, she'll take your
Oh,
information.
she's got my phone number.
She got your phone number?
She's
Okay.
got it, she's
All
on
right.
it.
Because I brought up something about the state passing a law.
Okay.
About the sales tax on auto insurance.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Here, they said it's not a sales tax yet. The state tax board said it's a sales tax on auto insurance.
Oh,
Now, again, the ordinance, I had the number one time, the bill allowing that mild complaint, 8 to 12% sales tax on auto insurance, yet the state sales tax is only 6%. Again, what's wrong with that picture?
yeah.
The state, Congress, and Senate are doing things, just going around things,
Do what they want to do.
which is right.
We'll come out and take a look at it.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Let's come up. Mr. Belcher, you smiling back there. Okay.
No complaint.
All right, well, if nobody else likes to speak, we'll move on. Next, I just want to, during the work session, I had ran through some, and that's my fault, I apologize real quick, I forgot to load that thing. I want to talk to you real quick about the budget update. And so I'm just going to run through this again, not necessarily for the council, because we all heard this, but I just want to run through for the people probably watching at home, and the people that are here today. This is the state of the city budget. Took over the budget starting January 1st of 2019. The budget numbers are based on January 31st expenses, as we talked about in the work session. As those budgets come through, February 28th, the new budget will roll over as far as the date and the information that I have available, but this was done prior to that, so all expenses are January 31st. We'll take a look at the 7 departments. We'll look at our reserve fund, and we'll look at our current bond payments and the unbudgeted expenses. Total operational budget is $12.7 million. That's administration is at $890. The police department at $4.8. The fire department at $2.7. Close those doors. Fire department 2.7. The Parks and Rec department at $712. And the Public Works is at $2.9. Now that includes the $418,000 for municipal aid and the Centennial Grant at $697,000. Economic Development Planning, that's $563,000. And now the stormwater, of course, is a separate budget, not a part of that $2.7 million, but that's at 1.9, almost $2 million. Administration's $890. Overall, now those aren't minuses. Those are just the dashes, as I said earlier. That's just a little, I probably could have deleted those. But we're 8.6 over budget. This is due to the development of the Red Hill Cutlery Yacht and the corner wall expense up there by the Boundary Oak Distillery, which were not budgeted. Total cost for that project is $188,000. And the percentage is likely to increase due to the remaining unanticipated expense for the $118,000. So that 8.6 would probably increase a little bit. And the city did receive $50,000 from the sale of that land up there to Red Hill Cutlery. Next is the police, which is $4.8 million, and it's actually 2.3% under budget. Our fire department is at 2.7, and they are tracking right on, just less than 1/10, so they're right on budget. Parks and Rec is $712,000, and they're 1.3% over, which isn't bad, but they did have some expense, which they did get some reimbursements back from, but that's not shown, of course, in the expenditures and line items. So Public Works is 2.9, and they're actually 5.1% under budget, and that's due to some seasonal work and the remaining of the salt budget we talked about, where we didn't have to buy as much as we anticipated. Economic Development Planning Building is 1.8% over, and this is due to the unanticipated capital expense of a $6,200 platter copier, which Murray uses so much that he broke it, and we had to replace that because we have to have that on a daily operation there in that department. Now, the current position for economic development, which is 40, that was my previous job, is a $42,000 savings, which is not reflected in that 1.8% overage. Stormwater, 1.9. It is actually 11.2% over budget. Majority of that overage is due to the upfront purchasing of materials and product cost that will level out towards the end of the budget cycle. So we typically buy everything up front for the season, and then as we recoup those dollars throughout the year, it actually will budget out, level itself out. This also includes the unbudgeted stormwater wood debris collection in December, which was totaling $18,500. Reserves. As of June 30th, 2018, our reserves are at 3.78. I think that's what you're asking me, Jeff. 3.78 million. Stormwater reserves currently has $437,000, but we are still waiting the reimbursement from FEMA at $182,000, which will bring it up to $619 for reserves. Bonds and debt service. Currently, there's a $450,000 bond. This is annual debt service payment that we pay $118,000 that comes out of our general operations budget, and it will retire in 2020. 1.1 million is a debt service that we have. It's $123,500, and it will retire of July 2025. And this is the 2.9 million. This is the annual debt service, $480,000 a year, which comes out of our operational budget. This will retire in August of 2022. This was a 20-year bond to construct Fire Station 1. Unanticipated expense that's coming out of the budget. Of course, the cabin down there, if you haven't seen it, the cabin looks good. I really like the way it was done. It looks great, but that's an unanticipated expense. The cabin total expense was $31,000. I know, Barbara, you'd asked about that. And then
I did ask
put that
about
in
that.
there. $10,000 that was donated by Adrian Bambini. $21,000 was unbudgeted. Go back to that. Now, he did give an additional $2,000, which went to part of the roof. But recapping the unanticipated expenses, it's $118,000, which was the Red Hill Cutlery Road that we still have to move forward on because that was part of the agreement.
Right,
$18,000 on the storm debris pickup.
which was done in December.
Yes, it's January when I came in.
Right. That's what I mean. That was the old administration.
But $21,000 was for the, and I said Stovall, but it was stiff cabin. So that's my mistake on that. Overall, as of January 31st, the combined percentage is 59%. The project percent we should be at based on budget is 58.3, which is 0.7% difference, which is, I think, is pretty good for an overall budget. This not include any anticipated expense, which could come over the next few months, but I believe our budget will be on track due to some savings throughout the police department, of course, my savings and my salary and some other areas that we've worked on since the beginning of the year. So we think we're able to taper out that budget pretty well. And if y'all have any questions, I think that was pretty much an overview of what we went through the last time. I just wanted to share that with the public so the public kind of knew what we were going through our work session. So, all right.
Thank you,
All right.
sir.
You're welcome. All right, next, we have old business. Do we have a motion for a second ordinance relating to the awarding exclusive franchise rights of public right-of-ways for the City of Ratcliffe garbage collection disposal of solid waste?
So moved.
Motion, second? Mr. Parker.
Mayor, this is the ordinance relating to the award of an exclusive franchise to use the public right-of-ways of the City of Ratcliffe for garbage collection and disposal of solid waste. Whereas the City of Ratcliffe advertised for bids for the use of the city's public rights-of-way for the purpose of providing garbage collection and disposal services set forth in the ordinance in Chapter 8, Article 2, Section 8 of the City of Ratcliffe Code of Ordinances as amended. Whereas Waste Management submitted a proposal in response to this bid, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Section 1, the exclusive franchise to use the public rights-of-way for the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky for the collection and disposal of solid waste created pursuant to Chapter 8, Article 2, Section 8 of the City of Radcliffe Code of Ordinances is hereby awarded to Waste Management as the best bidder as determined by and in the sole discretion and judgment of the City Council for the period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2022. Section 2, the mayor of the city of Radcliffe is hereby authorized and directed to execute on behalf of the city the franchise agreement. Section 3, this ordinance shall be effective upon publication. Ready for a motion to adopt.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
We already did that.
We already did that.
All right, actually did that back.
Oh, okay, well, that's all right.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, oh, roll call vote, sorry.
Barbara Baker,
Yes.
Tanya Seabrooks,
Yes.
Pam DeRoche,
Yes.
Edward Palmer,
Yes.
Kim Thompson.
Yes.
That carries.
Motion carries. All right, Mr. Frank, can we have a second reading?
Yes, sir. This is the ordinance enacting and adopting a supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Whereas American Legal Publishing Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio has completed the 2018 6th edition supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky, which supplement contains all ordinances of a general nature enacted since the prior Code of Ordinances of this municipality. And whereas American Legal Publishing Corporation has recommended the revision or addition of certain sections of the Code of Ordinances which are based on or make references to the sections of the Kentucky Revised Statutes. And whereas it is the intent of council to accept these updated sections in accordance with the changes of the law of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and now therefore be it ordained by the City of Radcliffe. Section 1, that the 2018 6th edition supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky is submitted by American Legal Publishing Corporation of Cincinnati, Ohio, and is attached here to be and hereby the same is adopted by reference as if set out in its entirety. Section 2, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its date of passage, approval, and publication as required by law. That's the second reading, Mayor.
All right, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
Motion, set Pam?
Pam.
All right, do we have any discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Barbara Baker,
Yes.
Pam DeRoche,
Yes.
Edward Palmer,
Yes.
Tanya Seabrooks.
Yes.
Kim Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to new business. We have Mr. Bob Moore, Secretary and Treasurer of the Radcliffe Fort Knox Tourism, and we have Mr. Charles Fraley here. And then we also have Gwen Avery, who's also on the commission as well, so.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Before Bob talked to you about the commissioner's audit, I'd just like to pass some information on to you that during, up to this date, we have a advertisement on Pandora. And as of today, we had over 974,000 hits, with the majority of them coming from the metropolitan area of St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati. So I thought that might be some.
What's driving that? Do you know what's driving that?
Well, a lot of
Pull the mic
questions.
towards you, Charlie, just a little bit. Pull the mic towards
A
you.
lot of it is on the Patton Museum, which we all know is not open right now.
But it's going to be open next month.
April 16th. So, but they questions about the Patton Museum and Sonder Springs, big hits.
Good.
Bob?
To quickly follow up on that, when Pandora does an advertisement, as they did for us, the hits come through them. They record all that, so they know that hits coming through their advertisements are to us. So we don't have to track that. That was their tracking, 974,000. There could have been additional hits to come in on our website that didn't go through them after somebody listened to that advertisement. So it was a big deal for us. It was a lot of information passed on, a lot of interest in it. So,
And that was the first time you all
we
chosen
did-
that,
yes.
that type of
Yeah,
advertising.
and we were
It's kind of
budgeted
a
again to
test.
do another round with Pandora this summer. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Any particular advertisement of music on there? Like, or is it just the
They run it through whenever they,
like if I'm listening to country and somebody else, he's listening to classical arts music,
yeah.
would it matter?
It does not matter.
It doesn't matter, okay.
Generally, it doesn't matter. They're just going to put it out there.
Okay.
And again, for those who don't know, they will never hear that here. Because if you hear that here, we're advertising the wrong people.
place,
Yeah, those advertisements go out to the west and the north and the south of us, in the interstate traffic. So, our audit, back to that, is much smaller and simpler than yours, obviously. We have a $260,000 budget instead of what you guys deal with. And you approved us allowing us to use Melissa Martin from Jones and Hurley. They completed the audit in January, and all the information was provided to your finance folks so it could be rolled into your audit. There were, again, no findings, nothing negative, no recommendations. Everything was balanced. And Mr. Palmer, they do go through line item in our case because it's a smaller. They track every individual line item and every expense all the way through, from approval to expense. So ours is pretty much a total. Any questions?
How much does it show? Is that what financial highlights, page 3, Bob? Is that what you all have in reserves? That ending balance is 462.
That was what we had at the end of the year, yes.
Okay.
That includes our CDs and that actually is everything, not just reserves.
Okay.
That was CDs, money market, and our checkbook.
Okay.
All of that rolled together.
Is that purpose of that still to do some kind of capital projects?
We are hoping to do that eventually. We're getting a little excited about that prospect. We're getting a little excited about that prospect. We're finally getting within a financial window where we might be able to do something with that.
Looks like it ended higher this year.
I'm sorry?
It looked like it ended higher this year, the net.
It did. We had, as a quick explanation, we had a little bit of income last year that was unanticipated. We got $13,000 back from the memorial fund that they did not need, and they returned that to us. As you know, Kelly requests for matching funds. We normally budget an anticipated $12,000 from the state for matching funds, but Kelly continues to apply and apply above and beyond that, and we actually got another $9,000 from the state for matching funds last year, and our hotel receipts were up a little bit, so we actually went above budget as far as income is concerned.
So that's always good.
That was good.
That's always good.
It's better than going the other way.
Yes, sir.
Council have any questions for Bob?
You don't have any unexpected expenses that you haven't budgeted for that's
No.
on the horizon that you're familiar with? Okay.
And we'll be bringing
No.
our budget into you guys in May for the next year.
Okay. We don't need to approve the audit, we just need to be presented, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's added into our overall audit.
Yeah, I don't think it
But
is.
that's not an approval necessary? Okay. That's what I thought. I was double checking.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all. Y'all doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you all. Mr. Pike, would you like a drink of water before we get started?
I'm good, Mayor, but I've got it here handy. And folks, just a note, on the next item, we're going to switch new business items 2 and 3. We're going to read 3 instead of 2, and then we'll read 2 after that, because 3 is the annexation, and then 2 is the rezone. So unless there's an objection, we'll do it that way. Hearing none. So I do need a sponsor for number 3, which is the annexation ordinance.
I'll sponsor
Thank
the
you.
annex. Do you want me to read it?
No, I'll take care of that for you.
Do we get an introduction?
Yes, Ms. Baker has introduced the summary of an ordinance annexing territory to the city of Radcliffe, Kentucky, located on the north side of Battle Training Road, Kentucky 434, between South Boundary Road and Blair Hill Lane, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, PBA map number 181-00-02-000. The city of Radcliffe is annexing land located on the north side of Battle Training Road, Kentucky 434, between South Boundary Road and Blair Hill Lane, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, PBA map number 181-00-02-000. Robert L. Mullett, Linda A. Mullett, Joe Miller Jr., and Catherine Miller, who are the owners of record of the subject property, have now given written consent to the City of Radcliffe in order to annex the land into the city pursuant to KRS 81A.412. The city is now enacting an ordinance to annex and incorporate within the municipal boundaries and limits of the city of Radcliffe, Kentucky, the subject property. The property contains approximately 25.414 acres. The location and boundaries of the property are located on the attached, or indicated on the attached Exhibit A, which is incorporated by reference. Title to the subject property was derived by deed conveyed to the owners dated February 26, 2019, of record in deed book 1469, page 122 in the office of the Hardin County Clerk. That is first reading, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. All right, so now we will do
We'll do number 2.
for number 3. And do we have an introduction for that?
I'll introduce that.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. This is a summary of a zoning ordinance rezoning the property located on the north side of Battle Training Road, Kentucky 434, between South Boundary Road and Blair Hill Lane, Elizabethtown, Kentucky. PBA map number 181-00-02-000 from Hardin County R3 to City of Radcliffe Residential 1, R1 zone. The City of Radcliffe Planning Commission conducted a public hearing March 7, 2019 on a zone map amendment request filed by Green River Stairs, LLC, and Robert L. Mullett, Linda A. Mullett, Joe Miller Jr., and Catherine Miller, who are the owners of record of the subject property. The Planning Commission has made findings of fact in support of the zone map amendment and has recommended to the Radcliffe City Council that the real property located on the north side of Battle Training Road, Kentucky 434, between South Boundary Road and Blair Hill Lane, Elizabethtown, Kentucky, PVA map number 181-00-02-000, in Radcliffe, Kentucky, be rezoned per the zone map amendment request from Hardin County R3 to City of Radcliffe Residential 1, R1 zone. The total acreage of the subject property is 25.414 acres. The location and boundaries of the property are indicated on the attached Exhibit A, which is incorporated by reference. Title to the subject property was derived by deed conveyed to the owners dated February 26, 2019, of record in deed book 1469, page 122 in the office of the Hardin County Clerk. The property is being rezoned after being annexed from an unincorporated Hardin County into the city limits of the City of Radcliffe. The zoning map shall be amended in accordance with said ordinance. That's first reading, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. All right. Next, we have a first reading of a summary ordinance amending the Radcliffe zoning ordinance, development regulations, Article 2, definition, Article, what's X, Mr.
10.
Pike? 10, conditional use standards, and Article 24, commercial zoning standards. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Do we have an introduction?
Yes, I'll sponsor it.
Thank you. This is a summary of zoning ordinance amending the City of Radcliffe zoning ordinance and development regulations, Article 2, definitions, Article 10, conditional use standards, and Article 24, commercial zone standards. The City of Radcliffe Planning Commission conducted a public hearing March 7, 2019 to consider an amendment to the City of Radcliffe zoning ordinance and development regulations, Article 2, definitions, Section 1.9 and 52A, Article 10, conditional use standards, Sections 4B and 5A, and Article 24, commercial zone standards, Section 2D. The Planning Commission has approved and recommended to the Radcliffe City Council, 1, that the city's definitions of boarding house and group home be amended, and 2, that the definition of halfway house be created for the purpose of modernizing and bringing them in line with the standards of the American Planning Association. The proposed amendments to the ordinance and regulations not only affect the definition of boarding houses, group homes, and halfway houses, but also designate the zone classification within which these uses are permitted and may operate by right. That is the first reading, Mayor.
Next, we have a first reading of ordinance amending Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1, General Section 819, Little Receptacles, Code of Ordinances for the City of Radcliffe. All right, do we have an introduction?
Yes.
Thank you. And folks, at a work session, we had mentioned, but I forgot to include the language where it says equipped with handles, may be carried or rolled by one man. We were going to change that to person, but I forgot to change it on this language. But I'll be happy to read person and change the final doc if that's what you guys would like.
Yes.
Okay.
Really? Does that matter?
Yes, it
Yes.
is. Yes, it is.
Well, I think we had talked about it, and I had just forgotten about it, but women are persons too, right?
I go by councilman, so.
The men do, right?
Let's see. I see.
I'll keep my opinion to myself. I think
We had no controversy till I opened my mouth. For the record, I love women.
well, that may not be the good thing to
Quote
say.
quote that in the
I'll
paper.
never run for president now. I just shot myself. There you go.
Full bold letters,
There you
headlines.
go. That's,
Mike Pike.
that's, boy, if that's front page news, but I'm happily married. An ordinance amending Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1 in general, Section 819, litter receptacles of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Whereas the Radcliffe City Council adopted its Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, on or about April 5, 1979, whereas the Radcliffe City Council desires to amend Section 8-19, litter receptacles, to update and modernize the ordinance's language. And now therefore be it ordained by the Radcliffe City Council, the Radcliffe Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1 in general, Section 8-19, litter receptacles is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 8-19, litter receptacles, Paragraph A, containers generally. Paragraph 2, any container that is not a commercial dumpster used by a sanitation company shall be equipped with handles so that it may be carried or rolled by one person and shall have the capacity of not less than 10 gallons, no more than 90 gallons. Paragraph 3, while storing refuse, ashes, garbage, or litter, the container shall be kept completely closed at all times. All other provisions of the ordinance shall remain the same. That is first reading, Mayor.
Then, let's see here. This is on the next one. This is the first reading of ordinance, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1, General Section 8.5, Dumping, and Section 8.6, Containers of the Code of Ordinance, City of Radcliffe. Do we have an introduction?
I'll introduce this.
Thank you. And
It's to repeal.
yes, ma'am.
I
And
failed
we,
to put that in the agenda.
yeah, we had talked at work session about repealing Section 8-6 containers because it was already located in another section. And then I got to looking at it, and Section 8-5 dumping, that language literally was also in another section. So I went ahead and added 8.5 into this repealing ordinance because it's redundant and just housekeeping. So I went ahead and made the executive decision to do that. If
And it was literally word for word.
yeah,
I mean,
Ms.
exact.
Baker and I talked about it earlier, and it's literally word for word, so I just went ahead to do that to clean it up, so. Okay, this is an ordinance repealing Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1 in general, Section 8-5, Dumping, and Section 8-6, Containers of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Whereas the Radcliffe City Council adopted its Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, on or about April 5, 1979, whereas the Radcliffe City Council desires to repeal Section 8-5 dumping and Section 8-6 containers, which were originally enacted March 4, 1969, in order to remove redundant provisions from Chapter 8, Article 1 of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it ordained by the Radcliffe City Council as follows. The following sections of the Radcliffe Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1 in general, being Section 8-5 dumping and Section 8-6 containers, which were originally enacted March 4, 1969, are hereby repealed in their entirety as redundant. That is first reading, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Let's see here. Next is the first reading of an ordinance, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 2, Principles for Establishing Franchise, 873, Penalties, Code of Ordinances, City of Radcliffe. This was something, Councilman Palmer, you had asked about, but of course you couldn't make the meeting. You and I talked that morning. The council decided to, and Mr. Pike's fixing to read that, did strike that, and I didn't know if you want to be the one to introduce that, sir.
Sure, I'll introduce.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 2, Principles for Establishing Franchise, Section 8-73, Penalty of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Whereas the Radcliffe City Council adopted its Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, on or about April 5, 1979, and whereas the Radcliffe City Council desires to amend Section 8-73, Penalty, to clarify the penalty for violations of Chapter 8, Article 2, and now therefore be it ordained by the Radcliffe City Council as follows. The Radcliffe Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 2, Principles for Establishing Franchise, Section 8-73, Penalty, is amended to read as follows. 8-73, Penalty. Any person who violates this article shall be fined not less than $20 nor more than $250 for each offense. A separate offense shall be committed for each day the violation occurs. Any person violating this article may also be found guilty of a civil offense. The civil fine shall be not less than $20 nor more than $250. The civil fine shall be paid directly to the City of Radcliffe. If the fine is not paid within 30 days from the date of notification, then the city may recover the fine in a civil action in a court of proper jurisdiction. The city may also obtain injunctions or abatement orders to ensure compliance with this article or pursue administrative remedies when appropriate, including injunctions and abatement proceedings. That is first reading, Mayor. Mr. Pike. And number 7 is our last penalty ordinance. Excuse me, 8 of the 9. And need a sponsor for that, please.
Sponsor.
Thank you, sir. And you'll recall, this is one we wanted to clarify the penalty and make sure that that article had a specific penalty
Right.
that was easy to find. This is the ordinance creating, bless you, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1 in general, Section 8-23 penalty of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Radcliffe, Kentucky. Whereas Radcliffe City Council adopted its Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash on or about April 5, 1979, whereas Radcliffe City Council desires to enact a new section to clarify the penalty for violations of Chapter 8, Article 1. And now therefore be it ordained by the Radcliffe City Council as follows. A new section of the Radcliffe Code of Ordinances, Chapter 8, Garbage and Trash, Article 1, in general, Section 8-23 penalty is created to read as follows. 8-23 penalty. Any person who violates this article shall be fined not less than $20 nor more than $250. A separate offense shall be committed for each day the violation occurs. Any person violating this article may also be found guilty of a civil offense. The civil fine shall be not less than $20 nor more than $250. The civil fine shall be paid directly to the City of Radcliffe. If the fine is not paid within 30 days from the date of notification, then the city may recover the fine in a civil action in a court of proper jurisdiction. The city may also obtain injunctions or abatement orders to ensure compliance with this article or pursue administrative remedies when appropriate, including injunctions and abatement proceedings. That is the last first reading, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pike. All right, our final agenda item tonight is going to be the approval of the life safety inspection service bid. You all did go over this during the work session, and we did have 2, which I believe Corson was the best of the 2 that you all decided, but if anybody would like to make a motion to approve that bid.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Corson Fire and Security bid for the life safety systems for the inspection services of the amount of $4,166 per year for a 3-year period.
Second.
A motion, second, any discussion? All right, hearing none, Mr. Clerk.
Barbara Baker,
Yes.
Tanya Seabrooks.
Yes.
Pam DeRoche,
Yes.
Edward Palmer,
Yes.
Kim Thompson.
Yes.
That carries.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on. So we have just a couple of items here to go over on our information. City's annual spring cleanup is going to begin, and so every month, every year in April, for as many years as I can remember, we've always done April cleanup. And we will post on our city webpage this flyer and the information of what can be picked up and what will be picked up, and then, of course, the items that are not going to be picked up. No paint cans, no toxic material, fertilizer, pesticides, gasoline, diesel, paint thinners, construction materials, shingles, and then we have several lists here. Things that will be picked up is paint, empty paint cans where the lids are closed, used tires, metal, household appliances that's been certified where a HVAC guys come out and we took out the Freon, used motor oil. And so we'll put this list on our city page, and you guys, if you want to share it through Facebook or however, we'd appreciate that.
It's already on there.
It's already on there, so our IT guy's on top of it. Thank you, Tim. And then the tire collection, is that on there as well?
I
Okay.
think so, too.
So Hardin County, just like they do from March 28th and 29th from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m., they will be having a tire collection event where you can take your tires to the landfill, the old landfill off Springfield Road. That's at 3870 Ruckers Road in Elizabethtown. Again, that's March 28th and 29th, as well as March 30th from 8 a.m. until noon on the 30th, and on March 28th, 29th from 8 a.m. until 3. So if you have any tires or stuff you need to get rid of, that's the best time to do it, and I believe that's a free to unload.
Now, that's only tires, though.
No, it has a list. It has a list of some stuff. Tires will not be accepted.
Right, but it's only tires,
only
it's not other.
Yeah, it's only
items.
tires that will be dropped off, yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be on our website, and you can also give Hardin County government a call if you need more information. All right, with that, Ms. Baker, do you want to start the council mayor comments?
Yes, I just have two this evening. One of the first thing that I have is the city of Radcliffe is looking for more seasonal park workers for over the summer. You need to be 18 years of age, have a valid driver's license, good driving record, be able to work outside for a long period of time, and be available to work from 7:30 to 4 p.m. So anybody interested in doing some seasonal work, maybe getting a little extra money over the summer for college, we'd love to have you. And you can contact City Hall, and it's on the website, our phone number. We also have the Spring Fling Craft and Vendor event, April the 13th, here at back at Colvin Community Center. That is from 8 to 4. And there will be shopping with spring crafts and all, and it's supposed to be really good weather. So now I believe we've also added some food vendors outside with food trucks. So that may be a good time on April the 13th. That's all I have.
Councilwoman DeRoche?
The next Radcliffe Small Business Alliance luncheon will be Tuesday, April the 9th at Colvin Community Center at noon. We will have a panel that will talk about small business. So for those folks who have thought about starting a small business in the Radcliffe and Vine Grove communities, the panel will consist of Dustin Humphrey, the attorney with Skeeters, Bennett, Wilson, and Humphrey, Robert Coffey, who is the director of the U.S. Small Business Administration in Louisville, Patricia Crossman, director of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Elizabethtown, Burt Walker, a successful entrepreneur and venture capitalist, and then so that will be our panel in April.
And that meeting's held at the community center.
Colvin Community Center at noon. Blazers Fun Zone here in Radcliffe will be sponsoring the lunch. They'll be providing our lunch that day.
Councilman? Councilwoman?
Yes. Happy Women's History Month to all women. And also would like to send a special Happy Women in Politics Day. That's an actual holiday now. So to all the women, especially my counterparts, I'd like to wish you Happy Women in Politics Day.
Is that today?
It's today. All day.
I didn't get any cake.
Yeah. Well, you know. But I'd just like to say that, and let's continue to support all of the upcoming activities that'll be going on in our community, especially for the businesses. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the business, so let's make sure we get out there and support RSBA. Pam, what is the Facebook page for that too, because they can follow that?
It is RadcliffeSmallBusinessalliance.com.
That is, okay, yeah. So make sure you check out the website as well. There's a lot of good information on there to get you started. And of course, the City of Radcliffe's website. We're so excited. Aren't we, JJ?
We are
Mayor.
thrilled.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. That's all I have.
Councilman Thompson?
I'm ready for spring, that's all I have.
Ready to grill?
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, I want to wish everybody a happy March Madness. I got my goal up there, ready for some challenge. I know, Ed, you said you think you can take me. Might have a little friendly competition after this.
Gotta see that.
Mike Pike, you might be tall, but probably can't shoot. No, hopefully.
I'll school you, boy.
So hopefully, everybody wish best of luck on their team. Real quick, just a quick update. We still are moving forward. I did brief some of the council members. We are moving forward still with the Red Mar project. We had a conference call with several people involved on that on Friday, and that process is still continuing in a positive direction. The incentive, of course, like I said before, we hopefully will have something to you here sometime next month, and for a kind of an update out loud so we can talk a little bit more about it. But that process is moving forward. I know we get that question, like, where's it at? It's progressing forward. I know Councilman Palmer called me today about it, and so just wanted to make sure everybody heard the same information. So we're happy with that. With that being said, I can't think of anything else. Mr. Pike, you got anything? No.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.